Okay, so we're going to TP fast this poem called My Father's Song. And so I've written up in the top corner, TP fast. The first thing I'm going to do is read through the entire text without stopping. Okay? So, My Father's Song by Simon J. Ortiz. Wanting to say things, I miss my father tonight. His voice, the slight catch, the depth from his thin chest, the tremble of emotion in something he has just said to his son, his song. We planted corn one spring at Aku, and then there's a dash, so they're not saying the whole name of the place. We planted several times, but this one particular time, I remember the soft, damp sand in my hand. My father had stopped at one point to show me an overturned furrow. The plowshare had unearthed the burrow nest of a mouse in the soft, moist sand. Very gently, he scooped tiny pink animals into the palm of his hand and told me to touch them. We took them to the edge of the field and put them in the shade of a sand-moist clod. I remember the very softness of cool and warm sand and tiny alive mice and my father saying things. Okay, so that was my first read of the poem. And now I'm going to do the TP fast strategy. So my first thing on the strategy is the title. Okay, and it says before reading, which we've read it once, but this is kind of before analyzing. What do you think the title means? Okay, so My Father's Song. I can tell it's first person. Okay, and it's about a father, about family, and then the word song makes me think of music. Okay, so our next step is paraphrase. After reading the poem aloud, put the selection into your own words. And paraphrasing means that line by line, you're going to put this into your own words. Wanting to say things. So I'm going to say confess or tell. I miss my father tonight. So I'm going to say lonely for father. His voice, the slight catch. Okay, a catch in your voice kind of means that you're, I always think of that with emotion, almost crying. So the father's voice had that catch, so he was very emotional. The depth from his thin chest, so this is kind of a physical description. Deep is like, I think of deep, and deep being like there's water, and then there's like the bottom of the ocean, and father is down here, he's deep. Okay, so father, and then other people are maybe up here and they're not as deep. Okay, so he's thin, and he's, I want to say complex, because that's another word for deep. The tremble of emotion in something he has just said. So tremble might be a word that we need to know. And it is to, I might look it up, to shake. So he's shaking with emotion in something he has just said to his son. Okay, so part of reading poetry means that you read and your pauses are going to be at commas and at periods. Okay, so I'm going to start chunking it. The depth from his thin chest, the tremble of emotion, is in something he has just said to his son. Okay, so he's emotional about what he's saying. Okay, and then we have this, his song, and a semicolon. So we're going to learn, since this, or not a semicolon, it's actually a colon. The colon means that what's coming next is going to be his song. Song is rest of poem. Because the colon tells me with punctuation what's coming next. Okay, so this is the father's song. We planted corn one spring at whatever place this is. We planted several times, but this one particular time, I remember the soft damp sand in my hand. Okay, so what I'm noticing about this stanza is there's no punctuation. That means as I'm reading it, I don't stop at the end of each line, I just keep reading it. We planted corn one spring at Aku. We planted several times, but this one particular time, I remember the soft damp sand in my hand. So he's telling about a specific planting. Okay. My father had stopped at one point to show me an overturned furrow. Okay, so I'm going to look at this as a chunk of information because there's a semicolon there. So the plow stops. The plowshare, which I looked up, and it is the blade of the plow that cuts into the ground. The plowshare had unearthed the burrow nest of a mouse in a soft, moist sand. Okay, so to paraphrase that, plow, overturned, mouse house. Okay. Very gently, he scooped tiny pink animals into the palm of his hand and told me to touch them. Okay. So since they're tiny and pink, they're babies. So baby mice, and let his son touch them. Okay, we took them to the edge of the field and put them in the shade of a sand moist clod. And a clod is a chunk of earth, which he's describing the dirt as sand, which, you know, sandy, like a sandy dirt. So, moved baby mice to the shade. Okay, I remember the very softness of cool and warm sand and tiny alive mice and my father saying things. So, this memory of kind of a sweet moment. Tiny alive mice. So this father who's a farmer, but he tried to save the mice and tried to protect them. So I tried to protect mice. And saying things, my father saying things. So doesn't say exactly what father said, but I think we can imagine that he's saying something profound. All right, so I'm going to stop there, and we've done the title and the paraphrase. So of the TP Fast, that's what we've completed so far.